Hey guys, what is going on? It's Jacqueline here from Nothing But Tech. Hope you guys are all doing well. WWDC just happened. It's Apple's developer conference where they normally launch their new software, but they also launched a lot of hardware this year. In today's video, I want to discuss 6 things that are pretty major that no one's really talking about. Let's get into it. Okay, so I've watched a lot of recap videos by my good friends, and they were awesome. They covered the main stuff, but these 6 things are going to be some minor things that might have been briefly mentioned or not mentioned at all, and I think that they're pretty important and that you guys should know about them. So let's start out with number 1. This one has me really pissed off. So Apple announced an iMac Pro, and if you want to hear more about that, let me know in a comment down below. I'll also link a bunch of other recap videos of just talking about the iMac Pro. Marquez did a great one on it. So it's in space gray and it looks amazing. And then they launched this amazing space gray accessory. So this dark gray mouse, this space gray keyboard, full keyboard I should say, and then a space gray trackpad, and it looks fabulous. I mean, I would buy these immediately for the setup right behind me. So I was hyped. I got on Apple Store to buy it, and I was like, that's weird, it only comes in white. Later, Apple then said, they didn't say this in the keynote, I don't believe, but they later said that it's only coming with the iMac Pro, which I understand you're paying like $5,000, more than that in a second, for this amazing computer. You want some exclusivity, but still would have loved to see the space gray accessories. Our good friends over at Colorware just brought back space gray accessories now because they're in such high demand after everyone seeing them yesterday. If you want to go check that out, first link in the description down below. I think I'm going to pick up a keyboard for this setup behind me, but I would have loved to see them by Apple because that color tone is just perfect. Switching back to some positivity, let's talk quickly about iOS 11. So it is a developer conference. Apple is there for announcing new software. So they came out with iOS 11 and a Mac OS, but iOS 11 really has my attention. It's not anything major, but it brings a bunch of minor changes that kind of perfects the OS. Nothing's ever really perfect, but it kind of brings these features that we all wanted and we just couldn't get. So for example, screen recording is there, so now you can natively record your screen without plugging into QuickTime or using a sketchy third-party app. Never was a fan of that. So that's really cool. People are talking about that though, because as video creators, we're all very hyped for that. But something that creators aren't really discussing that much is that you can customize the control center. So I'm going to try to get B-roll on top of this. If I can't, basically you can just add a bunch of different elements to the control center, so you can pick what you want to view in the control center and what you don't. So the control center kind of looks a bit like an aesthetic disaster, but I love that it's all on one page, and I love that you can customize it. So I'll take that slightly cluttered disaster over what iOS 10 was, which is a 2-page thing where you never knew what you were going for. I never really got used to that. I love that you can customize it, and I love it's all on one page. Hopefully the aesthetics get better. I mean, come on, they have some of the most talented people. You think that they could get those aesthetics right. Number 3 is that you can download iOS 11 beta. Not that I'd recommend downloading on your main device, but you can download it without paying that $100 premium. There are services where you can pay like $10 and then be able to download the different betas. The public beta is coming out in about a few weeks at the end of June. But if you want it now, which let's be honest, a lot of us tech junkies do, you can download it for around $10 by just signing up for a developer's badge, not through Apple. So I'll link a few different options down below for that. The Apple one's $100. I don't really see that being justified unless you're a developer. So this is your great way to get on it and get on it fast. Link below. Number 4 is that everyone's discussing that Apple had a price cut, but they're not saying how they did it. And what I mean by that is Apple just announced a cheaper version of the 13-inch laptop, and it's cheaper than the initial base model, and people are excited about that. They're like, okay, yes, like Apple has like this more entry-level model, and now it's very similar, if not the same pricing as the MacBook. And people are like, oh, like they should have made the MacBook cheaper because the 13-inch model has so much more power than the MacBook. But what people aren't realizing is the way that Apple cut prices is by cutting the storage in half. The base model used to be 256 gigabytes of storage, and now it's 128. If you want to get the storage back, it's going to be the regular price again. So yeah, Apple did cut the prices, but they didn't cut the prices off of the same base model. They made another model with lesser specs, which of course would be then priced less. So I feel like people are thinking that it's just the higher end model, but Apple did a price cut because they're nice, which maybe they are nice, but that's not the case here. It is a lower end model, and that's why the price is cheaper. I kind of think it's weird that it price it very similarly to the MacBook because it's just so much much more powerful. So yeah, I'm not sure. I guess if you're in the market for it, I would go for the 13-inch unless you really want that storage game. And then the MacBook is probably your better option, as I think it has 256 gigabytes of storage as a base. For the 13-inch MacBook Pro, you're going to have to go back up to that high-end model. I don't know, all the names and everything and all the pricing, it's just kind of confusing. I feel like they should have just made the 13-inch without Touch Bar, the MacBook, but I don't really know. That's just kind of what it is here. I do think it's a little bit sketchy, though, that it's like a lesser end model and it's called a price cut, but it's not really because it's lesser in specs. All right, I'm done ranting. Let's move on to the next one. All right, the next one is something that I'm super hyped for, and it's that the new 10.5-inch iPad Pro has an 120 hertz refresh rate. So this was kind of glossed over at the event. I know Marquez mentioned in his video, but I want to give it another mention on here if you're not following Marquez, which, what are you doing? But the 120 hertz model is now going to be a lot smoother. So normally it caps out at 60 hertz, and you can definitely tell when you're scrolling through the 120 hertz model, or at least I've heard. I haven't actually had hands-on time with it. Anyway, so people are saying that tried it in Apple's event that you could tell if it was 120 hertz versus 60. They said it's a lot smoother. It feels like butter. Marquez described it as like water, and I'm excited to see that, honestly. I always felt like iPads were great, but they didn't always feel as true to life as I would like them on such a big device. There was always like a little bit of lag. I mean, you wouldn't have noticed it until you see something smoother, but supposedly it's awesome. It's going to be great for gaming, and it also works in the animations within the operating system. So it's really those little things that just add to the user experience and make you feel like you're spending your hard-earned cash for a good reason. So I'm excited to see that. I will have iPad Pro 10.5-inch coverage if you guys are interested in that, so let me know, comment down below. But yeah, I'm excited that it bumped up to 120 hertz. I think that's going to be huge in the upcoming years in technology, as it just looks so much smoother. Okay, rounding off this list is that the iMac Pro just was announced. And everyone's talking about the iMac Pro. That's not what I'm here about. But what I am wanting to tell you guys about is, if you're a pro user and you're looking to drop that much cash, I think it's going to max out at like 10 grand when you go up to 18 cores and 128 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, it starts out at 5, and we all know how Apple's pricing gets exponentially more expensive as you do each upgrade. So I think a lot of people are saying it's going to max out at like 10 grand, and that's a ton of cash to be dropping. If it's your business, it might be understandable. I mean, the Mac Pro is priced similarly. But what this one is about is that if you're in the market for a pro device, the Mac Pro is speculated to be released a few months after the iMac Pro. So the iMac Pro comes out in December, and then people are saying early 2018 the Mac Pro is going to be released. So you just drop 5 or 10 grand on an awesome computer, and then like 3 months later, a better one comes out that can be used with a different display. The issue with the iMac is that it's an all-in-one, so the display is part of the device, which is great because the display is 5K. But what's not so hot about that is that if display technology keeps increasing, we just saw the 8K display by Dell, if that keeps getting more and more, and you're a creator and you're in the market for a really crispy display, I'm thinking that you buy this device now, you're going to be using it for at least 5 years based on how much you're spending on it, so you don't want to be locked into a display. And let's say that 6K or 8K really takes off in 5 years. There's no way for you to really get a different display, whereas with a Mac Pro, you can hook it up to another display. And also, if you're thinking in terms of setups and you can hook up 2 displays to a Mac Pro, it's not as easy with an iMac Pro, or at least it hasn't been with the iMacs in the past. So if I were you, you're a pro video creator, spending that much cash just to have a better device come out a few months later kind of feels like a trap, in Marquez's words. So I don't know. I feel like that's one of the things that people aren't really addressing. They're saying the iMac Pro is so cool, but they're not saying the Mac Pro might be coming out right after that, and it's probably not worth your money. I could be really surprised. I'm probably going to have to try it out in the studio to find out, but that's the last thing that you should know. Alright, 2 little bonus additions here. These are things that people are talking about, but I wanted to mention them. Is that yesterday, Jonathan Morrison just came out and said that Apple released over $34,000 in hardware that you can pick up today. So all our wallets are going to take a hit, obviously, because we're tech reviewers. And a lot of it's not coming out till later this year. So you might really, really want that HomePod for $350, or really want that iMac Pro for a starting price of $5,000. But you can't give Apple your money, and you can't get the product until December. So that gives Apple a lot of time to really develop it and make it a lot better than some of are speculating now with like the HomePod, for example. So I'm hyped to check all those products out. I will be checking them out. And if you want to see any coverage on Apple products like that, you should definitely click the subscribe button. The last one is just a little extra bonus item. This is just kind of my opinion. Apple's port department cannot make up their mind. I mean, they removed the headphone jack from the iPhone. Then they keep it on the new iPad, which came out a lot later than the iPhone. Then they keep it on the MacBook Pro, which I'm happy about. Then they keep USB Type-A after removing all USB Type-A ports from the MacBook Pro. They keep it on the iMac Pro. What? You think that if Apple's trying to push Thunderbolt 3 USB Type-C, they would just go completely that, given they do have 4 USB Type-C ports on the new iMac Pro? But it just seems like they're trying to push this technology so hard. Why remove it on the MacBook Pro if you're then just going to add it back to the iMac Pro? I get that it's a desktop device and there's more room, but I don't know. I just feel like it's so scattered. Some things have headphone jacks, some things don't. Some things have USB Type-A, some things don't. So you really don't know. You can't, but let's say that you have an iMac Pro in the studio and then a MacBook Pro on the go. You can't use your USB Type-A accessories that are perfectly fine on the iMac Pro with your MacBook Pro unless you have an adapter. I just feel like there's so many adapters that you need even between Apple devices. Like, for example, you can plug in your iPhone to a MacBook Pro without a different cable, or you can plug in the lightning headphones that you just picked up for your new iPhone 7 Plus or iPhone 7, but then 3.5mm headphones plug right into the iPad, so you can't use your lightning headphones with that. I don't know. It just seems like the port department cannot make up their mind. I just thought I would mention that. I know people are saying that on Twitter, but it just seems so crazy that they're keeping ports in some places and then chopping them off in other places, claiming that they're ancient technology just to put them on their $1,000 devices. So I don't know what's going on there. I'm happy to have them on the devices, obviously. I would hate if you needed to use an adapter with a Pro device like that. But I don't know, it just seems weird. I would like them just to make up their mind, honestly. But that's going to be for this video. Sorry for the short rant at the end. If you liked the video, feel free to subscribe right here. Check out my other content here. I'm doing a new series where I'm building my ultimate setup, which you're starting to see a preview right behind me. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description down below. I'll also link below Crystal, Jonathan's, and Marquez's coverage of the event because they did a great job. Crystal covered iOS 11. John covered how expensive every product is and then kind of a little details about the product. And then Marquez covered the top 5 announcements. So after you watch this one, you should go check out those if you want more information on the specifics of the products. It's been Jock in here for Nothing But Tech, and I'll catch you guys all later. Bye.